page of 292 treats us to an image of the Primo family, with all of them seated around a table at some sort of delightful family gathering. The page reads, "The mafia that created the Bongla family." I'll finish that sentence. The mafia that created the Bongla family was led by a man who stood at about 2 feet tall. Swinging valiantly into the action of the chapter, we find Tuna seated on the floor with Enma as he pours his heart out to his friend, about his mafia-related troubles. Despite all the hoe-checking and bitch-slapping that he did in the TYL arc, Tuna still doesn't think he's qualified to give orders of the bossly sort, and Enma, in a moment of pure bitchiness that I knew he had in him, asks, "Why are you telling me all this?" Because Tuna really seems to need to learn that wife does not automatically equal personal therapist. Enma flips on another bitch switch, telling Tuna that someone from the powerful Bongla family can never understand the pain that has haunted the long, pain-ridden chronicle of pain that has been the painful history of the weak Shimon family. At this point, I'm somewhat convinced that back at home, Enma has a collection of black band t-shirts, black nail polish, and a spiral-bound notebook of poetry entitled "Twist the Knife in My Bleeding Heart," the collected poems of Kozato Ravenwing Tight Pants Enma. But despite all this, Enma admits that Tuna seems to have poured Novocaine on the dark, bleeding cavity that was his heart, and might have even stirred him to friendship, to which Tuna replies, "I already consider us friends!" Well, I guess you'd have to at least see someone as a friend if you're going to consider eloping with them after knowing them for less than a week. And cue a veritable smorgasbord of images detailing how the Shimon family has touched the lives of Tuna's friends and guardians. It's so fucking touching, in fact, that AMANO could have pasted in the summary for a Lifetime movie, or a montage of images of puppies and kittens frolicking with one another in a field of flowers in the space for these pages, and no one would have really noticed the difference. The touching is brought to a screeching halt, however, when Nana interrupts with a, "Hey, smelly brats! Why don't you go get naked and roll around in the water for an hour or sake to wash out the stench of your failure?" Tuna and Enma do the back and forth for a while over who should rip their clothes off first, blithely unaware of the fact that, as a married couple, it's perfectly healthy for them to enjoy some quality naked time together. Fosters intimacy and sexuality and all that good stuff, don't you know? While Tuna is off undressing, sliding his lithe, slender body into the steaming water and slowly and tantalizingly rubbing every part of his body clean, Enma is off making some booty calls, except he mixes up his speed dial buttons and gets Suzuki instead. Boobzilla, it seems, has just emerged from the waters of Tokyo Bay and just so happens to be running around in a towel. I have the distinct feeling that when the Jump editors first took a look at this chapter, the towel panels were missing and they shook their heads and went, honey, this one's dripping with gay. I don't think we're going to be reeling in the straight, Cheeto-snorting, slightly homophobic male demographic this week, and AMANO stomped on back to her cubicle to go and overcompensate. Enma does some quick thinking and covers for his misdial by telling Suzuki that he's calling to put his foot down and tell her that the Bongla really aren't as bad as she thinks they are. Clearly unaware of the sheer volumes of unicorns and sparkles and rainbows that the Bongla shit daily, she decides that they should test and see if Tuna really is the bestiest best friend that he seems to be. Enma's solution to this? He thinks about it for 5 seconds before whipping out that pre-bottled friendship test that he's just been itching to use, in which he writes a fake "help me" note to Tuna and waits to see if Tuna responds. After spending some quality time curled up next to his husband, Enma slides the note onto Tuna's desk and slips off into the night, where who else should he find but Creeper McMaster Stalker Pants Esquire Gokudera. Gokudera finds it appropriate and not at all ironic to ask why Enma is creeping about in the night and excuses him from guard duty when Enma rolls over and plays dumb. And then, as the Shota sneaks off into the darkness, Gokudera takes a moment to gloat over how he's the only one capable of guarding the 10th 24/7. Correction, Gokudera dear, you're the only one who's weird enough to hang around Tuna 24/7. And this is the part where small children ruin everything! Incidentally, also the part where it's proven that Reborn has indeed become a romantic comedy. That morning at school, Suzuki finds the happy butt-sex trio frolicking about Namimori's school grounds, apparently unaware of the made-up danger that Enma is supposedly in, because Gokudera didn't seem to have the sense to find it strange that Enma doesn't show up at school the morning after he snuck off. Even if he didn't make the possible mafia assassination or OMG testing your friendship connections, you'd think that Gokudera would at least worry that the Shota was whisked off to be alienly probed by aliens, carried off by an errant chupacabra who was secretly a vampire returning to Transylvania to gather the soil of his homeland to store in his coffin. As the chapter closes, AMANO decides to treat us to the most upsetting thing since kicked puppies. Enma waiting alone for Tuna to come whisk him off his feet and carry him off to their honeymoon. I feign upset at manga a lot, but very rarely am I this upset by turns of events. It's something about the purely coincidental, avoidable nature of the fiasco that makes me just want to simultaneously collapse into a sobbing ball of girly man and then jet off to Japan to go grab AMANO by the shoulders and shake her while screaming, "What are you doing? Fix it now!" And I know the question that's at the tip of at least a few people's tongues is where are the anime summaries? They're coming, honest. I actually just moved across the country this week because I got out of school and then was blindsided entirely by this chapter, but hopefully I'll stop with the late and ride off on the watermelon mobile shortly. Anyways, Basu out!